Hi, I'm Frank. I make games. I've been working for a while now on a multiplayer first-person sword combat game called Castle Wars. It's a working title. Today we're going to cover kicking, sword combos, lock-on, surface decals, and UI. You might be able to tell that I'm currently working on the sword combat part of that multiplayer first-person sword combat title. And yeah, we've already handled the first-person part of that and the multiplayer part of that over the past couple of months. If you've been watching my streams on either YouTube or Twitch, a lot of this is going to feel familiar, so let's just jump into it. I mentioned in the last video, and honestly quite a few other videos, that one of the biggest reasons I restarted this project back in November was kicking. I tried an asset in the Unreal Engine which had kicking in it, and it was really fun. I may have had a couple of drinks before playtesting that, but genuinely, it was a good time. What is kicking? Kicking is not going to damage anyone, but it will be able to push players back. So swinging a sword is going to output damage, blocking blocks the incoming damage, and kicking will push players away. Really quick, out of the way, there is not going to be ragdolls nor a third-person view, at least not yet. I don't feel like working on those right now because I want to focus on the core game, and I don't feel like those are integral to what I need to build today. So how does kicking work? It's complicated. In plain, kicking works by enabling and disabling a trigger region in front of the player. If another player overlaps with this trigger region while it's active, the server will then tell that hit player to start a movement mode, and this movement mode will launch the player back a la a dash, just with a different direction. The kick actually, it feels pretty good to use. It also doesn't lock the player being kicked out of doing anything, so hopefully it won't feel too annoying. I'm trying to avoid a being frozen mechanic. I really hate those. The last thing I want to develop to expand our core gameplay loop is sword combos. There are multiple attacks for each sword, and previously we were choosing these attacks at random. What I want to do now, since ultimately we only have one button that controls sword swinging, is to create combo chains. So if you successfully hit someone, which we're going to make easier later, then you'll have a brief period of time to swing again. And when I say brief, I mean brief. It's usually like 0.25 to 0.4 seconds. Maximum. If you swing again during this time, you'll increase a combo number, and this will act as an index which moves through a sequence of attacks. These attacks are going to have a set pattern which will get repeated. I'm categorizing attacks as either light, heavy, or recovery attacks, and I'm generally going to follow the idea that light attacks are quicker, deal less damage, and heavy attacks are slower and will generally deal more damage. Heavy attacks are also going to be followed by recovery attacks, which are quick but do the least amount of damage. This is also a very good time to talk about UI. Each sword has its own crosshair now, and this combat panel is going to appear when the player grabs a sword. The combat panel has 3 indicators, one for each of our mechanics, those being swinging, blocking, and kicking. When you swing, the swing meter will refill. You'll notice the little bar on the left of this indicator that shows the combo window, and again, how quick it is. There's also 2 little boxes in the top right that show the next 2 possible attacks in that combo sequence. The kicking indicator works just like the swinging indicator, but it is worth noting that I added a lockout period to kicking. I did a minor amount of playtesting, and it was kind of annoying when you would try and get an attack in, but every time you'd even get close, someone would just keep kicking. So it's a little annoying. The blocking indicator depletes over time. If the indicator completely depletes, you'll stop blocking, and you can continue a block if the meter is above the set threshold level. Okay, so that's combos done. That's our core gameplay loop. So now I kind of want to focus on making everything just feel a little bit better. And the first thing I want to do for that is attack lock-on. So this is a feature of melee weapons in a lot of arcade games, usually shooters, but we're going to disregard that. It's in all of the Halo games, and in Destiny, the melee, sword, and glaive attacks all work this way. It's something that'll lower the skill floor, but it will make attacks feel so much better. It's a lot more likely that you're going to get a hit if, you're within range of hitting them. So lock-on isn't going to aim for you, but it's going to bring you a lot closer to your target. So it works by constantly running a trigger region in front of the player and keeping track of any possible targets within that trigger region. And then when the player attacks, we'll check if the lock-on setting is on, if there's a target to lunge to within the trigger, and if that target is either on the other team or we have friendly fire on. The last one is probably going to end up being problematic, but I want to try it. I want to at least play test it. Maybe the attacks shouldn't lock on to your teammates, but it'd at least be funny for like 20 minutes. Maybe. I just want to try it. Once we've picked a target, we move ourselves to a point within range over a short duration, linearly interpolated through an animation curve just to smooth it out. And I think this feels really good. Another thing that greatly impacts the feel of a sword swing that you may not have noticed is camera shake. It doesn't have to be a lot of shake, but the shake makes it feel like the swing has weight, and that's a good thing. Last time I saved animations for each attack on the sword, which would rotate the camera at a certain point to a certain rotation. I've condensed these down to a set of 4 values which are stored in the attack data. We have an offset, a duration, a peak, and a rotation vector. We can use those values to procedurally shake the camera during the attack. So I can easily update these camera shake values without needing to go into an animation system. And also, I don't have to do the nightmare, which was rigging one animator to have all the possible sword camera shakes, which was just gross. Admittedly, this is not necessary, at least not now. Surface decals are not minimum viable product features. Most people are never even gonna notice them, but I wanted to try them. If a sword swing misses a target, a decal is gonna get spawned in the middle of the crosshair and it'll get projected onto whatever the player hit. I'm really glad Unity added decals as a feature, and even more recently, they let me distinguish what objects should and should not have decals projected onto them, which is a lifesaver. Now I just need to figure out how to parent these networked objects to non-networked objects so that the decals can move with moving platforms. Right now they kind of look goofy. So last for today is a sort of grab bag of features. First, and my favorite, is friendly fire. It's pretty self-explanatory, but if friendly fire is on, then you can attack your teammates and your attacks will lock onto the teammates. I might make that its own setting later. Again, we gotta play test. Your friend who tries to team kill you every single time you play a new game is gonna love me, and I'm very okay with that. They're my kind of people. Second is hit numbers. These spawn from players that took damage and are only visible to the player who dealt the damage. I also added a setting to turn these on and off. Third, I added a setting to toggle if your teammates' name tags should be shown through walls. If friendly fire is on and you can't see these name tags, then the rate of attacking your teammates goes up. Enough said, it'd be funny. And lastly, I added a setting for the default sword, which may get replaced by a loadout system later, as well as did some basic rudimentary balancing. I can't really do too much balancing until we have a meta going with enough players. For now, it's a start. That's all I've got for today. I do want to apologize for the lighting in the last video sucking so bad. I recorded it early in the morning and the sun was blaring into my room, so you couldn't really see me. For lore reasons, I was just caveman maxing. The cave is supposed to be dark. As usual, get subscribed if you want to follow the game, like the video if you liked it, catch the streams every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time. I stream on Twitch and here on YouTube. I also have 2 games in the App Store and on Google Play. They're called Poke My Balls and Launch My Dog, and no, I will not be explaining what they are. You've been amazing. I've been Frank. I'll see you later.